Is that a vineyard? I'm looking at your tie. Is that a vineyard vines? Or we got? Yeah.
It is.
Sharp over there, man.
Gotta make some changes.
Hey, exactly. Does that mean you normally don't look nice?
No. That's not for the
I hope the cameras are rolling for that one. Oh, good. Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
What we got?
Now that you're through a full week, just how are you feeling going into your first game in this role?
I feel good. You know, I really. This has been a really good practice week. I think there's been really good buy-in from the players with the new schedule stuff, the daily and the practice. I just said to those guys, at the end of the day, though, there's a lot of distractions this week, and the one goal this week is the Atlanta Falcons, and we kind of lose, myself included in that. All of us, have to block out the distractions and understand we still have a game on Sunday. And the schedules and the locker room and the activation, that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, we're going to lock in on the game plan, the execution. But I feel real good. Like I said, a lot of positive feedback from the guys.
Yeah, there's been a couple of guys who have said, multiple guys have talked about this being their best practice week or feeling like they've done some of their best practices. What does that mean to you, and how do you feel you helped to provide that?
Well, you know what, the results will show on Sunday. But I do believe in what we're doing. Obviously, we wouldn't be doing it. It feels good. Like I said, great positive feedback. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. I feel like we're doing it the best way, so all good.
Anything with the intensity or pace of practice, the stuff we aren't able to see, has anything there changed at all?
Yeah, obviously we have all that GPS tracking stuff, so we look at those numbers, and those numbers will tell you a story. I think the pace of play in practice has really picked up. We're trying to make it more game-like. You guys have all been to football practice before. Sometimes you just stand around and run plays, right? Just run plays. And so we're trying not to just run plays, trying to have a purpose, practice with a purpose. So, I mentioned, I think the other day about we haven't been great with substitutions. It's been one of the things we got to get better at. We've burned timeouts this season at too high of a rate. And so, what I tried to do is look at the things we can work on. And so we've substituted every play on offense for the whole week from the sideline. And we can't be burning timeouts. We could have used a couple of those timeouts last week in the end of last week's game. And so, so we're trying to make everything, as much as we can, particularly pre-snap, just like a game. Substitutions, shifts, motions, all that. Try to cut down on some of the senseless penalties and the senseless timeouts. So I'm really happy. Wednesday, like anything, once you start and do something new for the first time, it's a little bit rusty, if you will. And I just gave a compliment. I thought our scout offense really started off the week slow, and today was our best day by far, and they really dictate the tempo of the drill for the defense. So just little things like that. But the pace of play in between plays, and I think Derek alluded to that the other day about, the most plays I've ever run. That's really what he's talking about, is that we're trying to keep the 40-second, the play clock, all those things, and just have a purpose. So,
can you say where Eric McCoy's at? We saw him back to practices.
Yeah, well, listen, really good first couple of days, and but again, just a couple of days. So we're going to go another day with him tomorrow and kind of see where he's at, and not quite ruling him out just yet. And we'll see where he's at. But I also want to be smart with that. You could argue with Eric. He was one of our biggest losses so far this year. People maybe not think of that with the center and all that, but here's the heart of our offensive line, leader, and look at the results since he's been out of there. So I want to make sure when he comes back, he stays back, because he's a huge cog. He's a huge piece of what we're doing. So, but we're just like anything else, just trying to see where he's at. But I would say he's doubtful for this week.
You talked about the intensity with practice and stuff, but what has the energy levels been like maybe in the meetings and just the feel of the locker room?
Really good. The locker room, I think, is really upbeat. I think that the changes we've made in there have been received well, very, very positive. I see it, kind of a renewed energy a little bit, on the field and in the locker rooms, in the meetings. And again, that was the whole reasoning behind kind of pressing that refresh button and kind of getting a whole new sense of energy. Sometimes, I'm from the Northeast, the old Dunkin' Donuts commercial where the guy's like, it's time to make the donuts. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's like it's not the same old same every day. And so kind of keep these guys on their toes, throw them a little curveball every day. I want guys running around, walking around with the antenna up like, what's next? Because you know what? That's what a football game is like. Football games, you never know what's coming next. And, so we want to kind of live that way. And so, but again, the energy level's been really, really good. I'm excited about that part. And like I said, the players have really responded well to it.
Is there anything more you can share about Chris Olave and how he's doing, just in terms of whether he's met with a specialist yet?
Yeah, here's what I know. Listen, Chris is not going to play this week. I can start off by that, saying that. We're trying to figure out what's the best now for the long term. There's a process in which he's going through. He met with our people, and then there's people outside the building. Can I tell you every single person I'm aware of that he's met with? They're like, I think I mentioned the other day, there's a process. So, again, Chris is going to be out right now for the short term. And we'll make a decision on the long term. But he is meeting with multiple, people, and everyone here, our medical staff's been in touch with all them, and so just going through that process. So.
Darren, have you decided he won't go on IR, or that's still to be determined too?
It hasn't been officially determined yet, but it's obviously on the table for sure.
On the table.
Yeah.
No Jamal Williams today. Was that injury related?
Yeah, he kind of, he tweaked kind of a deal that he was dealing with last week. So I don't think we're going to see Jamal this week.
It's going to come up with that being the case, with the activation period being added to try to avoid situations like that. What can you say about sort of the nature of?
Well, he was already dealing with something. He just re-aggravated the same thing. It wasn't a new. Yeah, he had an injury from a game, and he just kind of, was going through all of our stuff. And listen, there's a portion of our practice that's a really high intensity, full speed. So listen, we're not. Because we do an activation period and we're stressing hydration, does that mean we're never ever going to have a soft tissue injury again? No, it doesn't mean that. But what it means is we have awareness about it and we're giving ourselves the best chance to limit those situations. In Jamal's case, it was a re-aggravation of a current. Yeah.
So he's out or doubtful?
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Jamal this week. I don't think we'll see him in the game.
Have you had a chance to sort of think about Sunday and just that moment you run on the field and all that?
Trying not to. Yeah, trying not to. I'm trying to practice what I preach. So I'm preaching, stay in the moment. I'm preaching, no excuses. I'm preaching, be accountable. I can't get wrapped up in the moment either. I got to just go through my process just like everybody else. And at the end of the day, I got to make sure that I'm doing what's best for the team and leading the team. So, I'm gonna just try to stay focused on that. So I'm not gonna, I'll maybe think about that when the game's over, But right now I'm just trying to do my 111th. And do my part.
Does your Sunday routine change much as far as what time you get to the dome?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I'm a get to the stadium early guy anyway. So I'm one of those guys. That's one of the first guys there. It's always been my deal. So I'll probably, there's going to be a few new things. Meeting with the officials and just some of the head coach stuff and the media stuff and the head coach. The official stuff and just a couple of different deals that I have to do. But other than that, I'm going to try to, I told you that day I'm pretty routine driven. I want to kind of stay on my routine.
This is the week that we win 5 of their last 6 games, but it seems like their offense has really found a rhythm since the last time you've seen them. What have you maybe noticed from them, and what have you noticed from Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, well, they're playing efficient football. It's Raheem's done a really good job with the entire team. Listen, you look at them as a team, and they're getting production from a lot of different ways. On offense, they got a lot of weapons. I think defensively they're playing really good, team football, solid special teams. So I said the other day about complementary football. They're playing complementary football, and they got guys on the defense that are taking the ball away. For the most part, they're taking care of the football, and so that's a pretty good recipe. When we played them the last time, we didn't do that. We didn't take care of the football. That was a huge reason that the result, the way it was the way it was. So that's been a huge focus. But no, listen, they're doing a good job right now. They're playing consistent football, and it's the reason they have the record they have.
Darren,
Do you see Kirk more comfortable in that offense now?
Yeah, well, listen, anytime you start in a fresh new start, especially at that position, it usually takes a little bit of time. But right now, he's kind of oiled up and rolling. They're doing a really good job. Their coaching staff, Zach and their offensive staff, they really got him in a good place right now. So it's going to be our job to try to disrupt that a little bit. But no, listen, I stand here and tell you he's playing good football. So
I apologize if you detailed this already, but did you determine who the new you is for you on game days?
In terms of game management?
Yeah.
So, well, listen, peek behind the curtain, the way it's kind of been is Phil and I were always kind of communicating that. We've added Marwan to that mix, who also did game management, so just another voice. So the three of us will kind of be a three-headed monster, if you will, just kind of communicating all that stuff. And listen, I'm going to be a little bit more involved with the offense and defense, no doubt. So, they'll grab me on certain situations. But I think we have a really good plan going in with the.
Who's in the booth and who's on the field?
Yeah, so me and Marwan will be down. Obviously, I'll be down.
Yeah.
And Marwan will be down.
You can do it a different
Phil.
way.
No, Yeah, no.
And then you'll have the red flag.
Yes.
Things like what you see in the booth and all that.
Yeah,
like you were
exactly.
involved in
We have that process in place, so that part hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So we're doing what we've normally done.
How much you talk to Zach just about analytics and decisions and go for situations and those guys?
That's more during the week.
Yeah.
More of a prep. Kind of have a philosophy going in, and so. Listen, our analytics guys do a great job. They kind of throw some stuff at us at the beginning of the week. This is kind of the stuff to look for on the opponent. This is what they've done well. This is kind of the things so that all plays into it. I mentioned the other day just how the game plays out. Interesting last night, right? Baltimore and Cincy. Cincy has the 2-point play. They try to draw them off sides. Then they call timeout. So all those different things we talk about, leading up to the game. And then, listen, during the game, kind of like I said, those decisions are kind of made by kind of how the game's being played out and kind of how we prepared going into the game. So whether that's 2-point, whether that's a timeout, whether that's a go for it, whatever it is. So.
What can you share with us in terms of the progress of guys like Nephi Sewell and Shane Lemieux who are
Yeah.
back? And is there a chance you have them available this weekend?
Yeah, so Shane and Will Harris, right, and Nephi are 3 guys that are RI guys that are kind of designated for return, right, guys? Those guys are working. I thought Will Harris had a really good week of practice. I think we're going to see him in the game. I thought Shane Lemieux, same thing. I think Nephi, Nephi is coming off of a long, rehab, 9 months, right? He got hurt in December. So really more than that, and so he didn't get on the field until last week. So what was today? His 6th practice. So we'll kind of determine where those guys are. But I think they're all progressing very, very well. I'm very pleased with all of them. I think Will and Shane are maybe just on track a little, on track to play this weekend, and we'll sit down today and make a final determination about Nephi.
This a week that you could see Dante Pettis or Devin Austin?
Yeah, it is. We're gonna kind of we kind of gave all those receivers at the beginning of the week like, hey guys, this is a little bit of an open audition. Your practice week's going to determine, who's up, who's down, and guys like Dante and Kevin and EQ, all those guys, obviously tipped in, and the guys who have already been playing, Scantling and Jermaine and all those guys. Is, hey, listen, we're going to make a decision whether it's 4 receivers, 5 receivers, and based a little bit on the practice week. I can tell you this: I thought Dante and Austin had really good practice weeks. We'll go up and figure out, finalize the inactives and all that, but those are 2 guys that are certainly on my radar for sure. All good?
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys.